Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Labha Givaradha Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Jai Kunja Bihari Labha Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Munatira Vanachari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Kunja Vihari Yashodanandana Braja Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadramaya Nadha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya Gauranitai Gauranita Jaya Gauranita 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. विधर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद की सावेत गौर भक्तवृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter number 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, text number 28. Yap param brahmasa sakshat triguna jiva samnitat bhagavantam vasudevam prapanna sapriyo hime. Yap param brahmasa sakshat triguna jiva samnitat bhagavantam vasudevam prapanna sapriyo hime. Yap param brahmasa sakshat triguna jiva samnitat bhagavantam vasudevam prapanna sapriyo hime. Any Matajis? Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ya, anyone, Param, transcendental, Ramhasa, of the controller, Sakshat directly, Trigunat from the three modes of material nature, Jiva Samnitat, living entities called by the name Jivas, Bhagavantam, onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudevam, onto Krishna, Prapanna, surrendered, Sa, he, Priya, very dear, he, undoubtedly, may, of me. Translation. Lord Shiva continued, any person who is surrendered to the Supreme Personality Godhead, Krishna, the controller of everything, material nature as well as the living entity, is actually very dear to me. Purport. Now Lord Shiva explains the reason he has personally come before the princes. It is because all the princes are devotees of Lord Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunam Janmanamante Gnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Lord Shiva is rarely seen by common men, and similarly, a person who is fully surrendered onto Vasudeva, Krishna, is also very rarely seen because a person who is fully surrendered onto the Supreme Lord is very rare. Samahatma Sudurlabha. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Consequently, Lord Shiva came especially to see the Prachetas because they were fully surrendered onto the Supreme Personality Godhead Vasudeva. Vasudeva is also mentioned in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam in the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Since Vasudeva is the ultimate truth, Lord Shiva openly proclaims that one who is a devotee of Lord Vasudeva, who is surrendered to Lord Krishna, is actually very dear to him. Lord Vasudeva Krishna is worshipable not only by ordinary living entities, but by demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and others. Yam Brahma Varunendriya Rudra Maruta Stuvanti Divyai Sthavai. Bhagavatam 12.13.1. Krishna is worshipped by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Varuna, Indra, Chandra, and all other demigods. That is also the situation with the devotee. Indeed, one who takes to Krishna consciousness immediately becomes very dear to anyone who is simply finding out and beginning to understand what Krishna consciousness actually is. Similarly, all the demigods are also trying to find out who is actually surrendered to Lord Vasudeva. Because the Pracheta princes were surrendered to Vasudeva, Lord Shiva willingly came forth to see them. Lord Vasudeva or Krishna is described in Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama. Actually, he is the enjoyer, Purusha, and the Supreme, Uttama as well. He is the enjoyer of everything, the Prakriti and the Purusha. Being influenced by the three modes of material nature, the living entity tries to dominate material nature, but actually he is not the Purusha, enjoyer, but Prakriti as described in Bhagavad Gita. Apreyam itastvanyam prakritim vidime param. Thus the Jiva or living entity is actually Prakriti or the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. Being associated with material energy, he tries to lord it over the material nature. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mama evamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manasyastan indriyani prakristani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. By endeavoring to dominate material nature, the living entity simply struggles hard for existence. Indeed, he struggles so hard to enjoy himself that he cannot even enjoy the material resources. Thus, he is sometimes called Prakriti or Jiva, for he is situated in the marginal potency. When the living entity is covered with the three modes of mental nature, it is called Jiva Samnita. There are two kinds of living entities. One is called Kshara and the other is Akshara. Kshara refers to those who have fallen down and become conditioned. And Akshara refers to those who are not conditioned. The vast majority of living entities live in the spiritual world and are called Akshara. They are in the position of Brahman, pure spiritual existence. They are different from those who have been conditioned by the three modes of material nature. Being above both the Kshara and Akshara, Lord Krishna Vasudeva is described in Bhagavad Gita 15.18 as Purushottama. The impersonalists may say that Vasudeva is the impersonal Brahman, but actually the impersonal Brahman is subordinate to Krishna, as also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14.27. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. That Krishna is the source of impersonal Brahman is also confirmed in Brahma Samhita 5.40. Yasya Prabha Paravato Jagadanda Koti. The impersonal Brahman is nothing but the effulgence or bodily rays of Krishna, and in those bodily rays there are innumerable universes floating. Thus, in all respects, Vasudeva Krishna is Supreme Lord, and Lord Shiva is very satisfied with those who are completely surrendered to Him. Complete surrender is desired by Krishna, as he indicates in the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. The word sakshat, meaning directly, is very significant. There are many so-called devotees, but actually they are only karmis and jnanis, for they are not directly devotees of Lord Krishna. The karmis sometimes offer the results of their activities to Lord Vasudeva, and in this offering is called karmarpanam. These are considered to be fruitive activities. For the karmis considered Lord Vishnu to be one of the demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Because they consider Lord Vishnu to be on the same level with the demigods, they contend that surrendering to demigods is as good as surrendering unto Vasudeva. This contention is denied herein because if it were true, Lord Shiva would have said that surrendered unto him, Lord Vasudeva, Vishnu or Brahma is the same. However, Lord Shiva does not say this because he himself surrenders unto Vasudeva, and whoever else surrenders unto Vasudeva is very, very dear to him. This is expressed herein openly. The conclusion is that a devotee of Lord Shiva is not dear to Lord Shiva, but a devotee of Lord Krishna is very dear to Lord Shiva. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadeshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurasve Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangullangaite girim. Yet kripaha tamaham vande Shri Guru Netarinam. Hare Krishna. So before I start speaking, I seek the blessings of His Grace Anandmai Prabhu and all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can speak on this verse to glorify the Supreme Lord for my purification of heart. So we see here Lord Shiva proclaiming who is dear to him, who is very dear to him. It's very clearly saying that those who surrender to the Supreme Lord Krishna, they are very dear to him. Right? He is not saying that those who surrender to himself, they are dear to him. Right? So many times ordinary people, they have this doubt whom to worship, Lord Shiva or Lord Krishna, many times. So here Lord Shiva himself is telling that, no, if you worship Krishna, I am very pleased. Not only that, but he himself is coming and directing them how to worship Lord Krishna, guiding them, and is very pleased and blessing them also. As Prabhupada here mentions, that once you start worshipping Lord Krishna, all the demigods are very pleased with that particular devotee. So here in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning that Lord Shiva has personally come before the Prachetas. Why he has come also he is explaining here. So Prabhupada is mentioning generally Lord Shiva is not seen by common people because it's very exalted personality. In the previous yugas, the demigods would appear sometimes when the kings would perform some yajnas for the pleasure of Lord, for the pleasure of the demigods. So they would appear sometimes, and the common living entities, human beings, they were also able to see them. But in Kali Yuga, first of all, we cannot perform so-called yagnic sacrifices except the Sankirtan Yagna, and there are no qualified to perform also. So, and Kali Yuga is also very, very contaminated. So that's why the demigods don't generally appear in Kali Yuga visible. They are not visible to the common people also. So, but here the Prachetas, because they fully surrender to the Supreme Lord, so that's why they appeared. Lord Shiva appeared before them. So Prabhupada is mentioning not only Lord Shiva is rare to appear, but even it is rare to find a person who is fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Okay. So now the question may come that there are many surrendered souls to Krishna also. No, but here it's mentioned fully surrendered. Right? Not half surrendered or quarter surrendered. Fully surrendered. Those who are pure devotees, actually is very, very rare. Bahunam janmanam ante gnanaman prapadya vasudevam sarvamiti. Knowing that Krishna is the cause of all causes, such a soul is very rare. Actually, a pure devotee is very, very rare. So we'll discuss how actually it is rare. And here it is mentioned also how here what is mentioning Vasudev is Lord Krishna, is none other than Lord Krishna. So actually it's clearly mentioned by Lord Brahma also, Ishvara Parama Krishna. There are so many Ishvaras, but out of all the Parama is Lord Krishna. So now as devotees we may also say that we are also worshipping Lord Krishna. So we are also surrendered to Lord. Actually, yeah, we are also serving Krishna, but not fully. So, because we see that in our consciousness, we are not fully surrendered. Externally, we may be doing the same activities. Like pure devotees also may appear to be doing the same activities. Like we are also chanting the holy names, we are also attending Mangalarti, we are also either speaking or hearing Bhagavatam class. But there is a lot of difference between the pure devotees and ordinary devotees who are not pure, who are materialistic. So, because we see that in our consciousness we are not fully surrendered. As here it's mentioned, Yatataron Mula Nishechanena Tripyanti Tatskanda Bhujopashaka Pranopahara Chachendriyanam Tataiva Sarvaranam Achyuteja. So if you water the root of the tree, automatically the branches, leaves, everything is watered. So same way if you worship Krishna, actually it's equal to worshipping everybody else. So sometimes we see ordinary people when they come to Krishna consciousness, when we say that you worship only Krishna, sometimes they give up Krishna consciousness, thinking that, oh, what about Shiva, what about Parvati, or what will they feel? They fear, they think that they will be displeased, and then they will curse us, or sometimes they have Kul Devata, and they feel that if we don't worship them, then materially we will suffer. But actually, all the demigods are pleased, as Prabhupada is mentioning here, when you start worshipping Lord Krishna. And they are ready to bless also that person. So you need not worship the 33 crore demigods. How many can we worship? Right? It's difficult. So, but if you worship Krishna, that is sufficient. And as practicing devotees, we see that we also have some tendencies of demigod worshippers, in the sense, not that we are worshipping demigods, but in our worship we are quite distracted, and also we want some material benefits from people, from the worship, or while performing devotional service we want some material benefits in return. That is the same mentality of the demigods. So how to know that we have that mentality? Actually, sometimes it is directly visible also to others, and sometimes we ourselves can see while we are chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we are chanting Hare Krishna, we see that our mind is distracted to so many other things other than Krishna. Right? If we have full faith that Krishna is the source of everything, Sarva Karana Karana, right? Right? He is the giver of everything. Right? If we have that full faith, we will not be distracted to anything else. So when we are distracted by anything else other than Krishna, that means we have more faith in those things than Krishna. Suppose you are chanting and then you are thinking about you are thinking about job, you are thinking about money, you are thinking about your own body. So in that sense, you are trying to means you have more anxiety or faith in those things, or you are thinking that I am the controller of my own life, or I am the cause of my future, or what if if I don't think, what will happen? No, we are in anxiety about future or lamenting about past. But if you have full faith that Krishna is the controller of everything, as here it's mentioned, and the enjoyer of everything, and he is the source of everything, and he can provide everything, he is a maintainer of everyone. So when we have this faith, then we will not be distracted, because everything is there in Krishna. Even what you are thinking while chanting is also there in Krishna. Right? Right? So Krishna can give us everything, whatever is required. So why to think of anything else? Right? That means we also have the same mentality of demigod worshippers. We are not sure that Krishna will give everything. We are thinking, I should make my own arrangements. Right? We are still in the mood of controller, enjoyer. Right? Okay, they are telling me to chant, but okay, but what about other things? Right? We are worried about other things. Right? Because if we don't have worry about all those things, right, why we'll think about those things? We have worry, we have anxiety about those things, right? So that's why we are thinking about all those things, right? So in the front there is all these anxieties, thoughts. Background there is chanting, or sometimes we sleep also. So, but then that means actually we are not watering the root, which is Krishna. We are actually watering the thoughts which we are getting while chanting. Right? And even practically also, when we render devotional service, we see that when we have this material desires, we hanker for name, fame, recognition, all these things. Right? That means again we don't have full faith in Krishna. Right? We are thinking that if I get name, fame, I'll be happy. We want to make our own arrangements for becoming happy. We are not sure that by worshipping Krishna, that is a ultimate satisfaction, or that will give me ultimate happiness. Right? So that's why we are quite distracted. But when we have full faith that Krishna is a Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suradam Sarvabhutanam Gnatva Mam Shantirichyate. If you have full faith that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, he is the controller of everything, and he is the best friend of everyone, then you will be Shanta, peacefully situated, and you can peacefully chant. Right? So many times we theoretically have an understanding, okay, Krishna is supreme, no, we have to surrender to him. But actually, we should also ask, are we surrendering ourselves? So we may be surrendering externally, grossly, by wearing dhoti kurta and chanting also, the prescribed duties we are doing externally. But internally, are we really surrendered? Right? We can see that how our mind is so notorious or nasty or so much distracted, right? So internally we are not surrendered, right? So real surrender means not only external but internal also, right? Are we able to offer fully our consciousness to Krishna while chanting or while hearing, or even while rendering services? Internally, what is our thought process, right? So it's very important for devotees to develop faith in Krishna, in the sense, in this aspect that he is the Supreme Personality of God. So many times it becomes very theoretical only, right? So that's why we don't make so much progress. Okay, external progress is there, but then after external progress, okay, you come to dhoti kurta, 16 rounds. Somebody may think over now. No, this is the end. No, that is just the beginning. Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anardha Nivritti. Right? Then starts actually Anardha Nivritti. So we have so many anardhas. The enjoying mentality is so strong. Right? This tendency for enjoying, controlling, proprietorship. These mentalities come during rendering devotional service. Very much doing with our words, behavior, actions, we can see. Sometimes we may not be able to see because we are in ignorance, but others may be able to see also. Right? So a devotee has to very sincerely take shelter of Lord to overcome these tendencies. Otherwise, we may still remain superficial in our Krishna conscious practices, right? So we cannot imagine in the sense that if I just chant somehow, I can go back home, back to Godhead. It's not like that. Because Prabhupada said that we should chant 16 rounds attentively and avoid the 10 offenses. Prabhupada has clearly mentioned. Because Bahujanma Kari Yadi Shravana Kirtan Tabutane Pai Krishna Pade Premadan. So even if somebody chants many millions of lifetimes and keeps on committing the 10 offenses, he will never achieve Krishna Prem. He will not develop love of Godhead fully. So a practitioner has to be very, very careful to avoid all these 10 offenses and fully absorb himself in Krishna. Not only during chanting, but other times of the day also. Because Maya is very strong. Maya always tries to attack us through various ways and means, trying to distract us. As Prabhupada is mentioning here, the living entity, Manashashtindriyani Prakritisthani Karshati. He is struggling very hard with the six senses, including the mind. And his main aspect is that he wants to control this material world and enjoy the material world. So he has come to this material world for this thing only, right? So even in Krishna consciousness, we may display the same tendencies of trying to control devotees or people in general, or become the proprietor, and trying to enjoy the resources or engage people in our service instead of engaging them in Lord's service, right? So one should be very careful not to get distracted. So pure devotional service means Anyabhilashita Shunyam Gnana Karma Dhanavritam Anukulena Krishnanushilanam Bhaktiruttama. Right? So a devotee has to regularly introspect whether my devotional service is Anukulena Krishnanushilanam, and also whether I have any Anyabhilashya. Other than serving Krishna, do I have any other material desires? Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshade ahaituki apratihata eyatma suprasidati. We can also see that when we also render devotional service, many times we are not satisfied. Because the principle is ahetuki apratihata. Because we are not following that principle, that's why we are not satisfied. To the degree we follow that principle, to that degree only we are satisfied. So our hetus are not pure when we render devotional service. It should be unmotivated. There should be no material motives. So we should not get discouraged, because currently we may have lot of material desires, lot of enjoying propensities, controllership mentalities. But we should understand akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purushaparam. Srimad Bhagavatam gives examples of so many people who had material desires, but they could overcome those mentalities by tivrena bhakti yogena. By intense devotional practices, they could overcome all these material motives. We have Dhruv Maharaj, right? Or we have this Diti, example of Diti, or even Ajamil. So Srimad Bhagavatam not only gives the examples of pure devotees, but also devotees who had material desires, but who could overcome those material desires by intense practice of devotional service. And also, it also gives examples of those who have material desires and fell down. Bharat Maharaj, even Pururava, right? Because they had material desires, that's why they got distracted. It is warning us also, right? So, practitioner should take lessons from these sections of Bhagavatam and see how we should not fall prey to these material desires and how we should overcome. So, in all the cases of those who had material desires, we see that their practice was very intense. Dhruva Maharaj, if you take Dhruva or Diti or even Ajamil, they very sincerely took to the instructions of their spiritual masters or whatever they heard from various sources. They took it very, very sincerely to their heart. And for prolonged period of time, they practiced devotional service. So, if we don't practice like that, then we will continue having the material desires, and that will lead to next birth. Very simple. Because as long as we have this material desires in the subtle body, material nature has to give another body, right? Because we have that enjoying propensity. So material nature will provide, okay, you still have these desires, okay, you got purified to a certain extent, but still you want to enjoy, right? So, okay, we may continue devotional service, but next life, but again we have to take birth. Punarpi jananam, punarpi maranam. This cycle of birth and death will go on and on, right? So, a devotee has to take the process seriously. We also have that verse, Devarshi Bhutatmananam Pritranam. So in that also, Ekinkaronayam Nanicharajan. So those who fully surrender to Lord, they have no debts to demigods or forefathers or sages. So it is said that those who don't surrender fully, they still will have debts. Right? Because they have not surrendered fully. Right? Even sometimes those who join Brahmacharya ashram, they may say that no, I have fully surrendered. But actually it's not full surrendered, because externally we have surrendered. Maybe shaving up or changing the dress or going away from family and staying in temple. But then that is okay, some we can appreciate that they have surrendered to some extent. But then we see that many times, again, although initially they may have enthusiasm for surrendering, but then during the process, the propensities to control, enjoy, have proprietorship, these things come. And then one is completely enveloped by those material desires. And then is not actually surrendering to the Lord. So that's why it is said that, what is that statement? I forgot. Means initially your desires may be good, but that is not sufficient. You may begin with a good motive, but that is not good enough. Good intentions are not good enough. Yeah. So many of us may come with good intentions, but they are not good enough. To continue with good intentions forever, we have to purify our mind. We can see how our mind is such a rascal, having so many bad intentions. We can very clearly see, right? If we just display our desires of mind on a screen, right? Then everybody will shock, including ourselves. Right? So there are some desires which are visible, which are perceived by us. But in the subconscious mind, we can see that there are so many more material desires. from so many lifetimes, right? So that means there is so much to be purified, right? So unless we really focus on that, uh, then we cannot please the Lord. Then we should not consider that we are fully surrendered. We are little bit trying to surrender, but uh, we should always understand that there is long way to go. So today is also the appearance of Srivas Pandit. He is one such devotee who is fully surrendered to the Lord, right? So even when Lord Chaitanya, no, before appearance of Lord Chaitanya also, the devotees in Navadvip, when they saw all the people suffering, they used to pray to the Lord to appear. So Lord Chaitanya would, before taking sannyas, every day we know after he became devotee, in the sense, after he surrenders to Ishwarpuri, everybody becomes very happy, and we know that how Lord once says that why only we have day kirtans. We should let us start even Sankirtan in the night. So then every day Lord would perform his pastimes in Srivas Pandit's house, whole night. Just imagine, sometimes in a house, even one program also, sometimes they are bewildered. Oh, one program, how we'll do? Every day Lord is having program. That too in the night. In the sense, generally people may say that, okay, 1 hour program, okay, or but Lord, it's like it has become a temple. No? Not only in the daytime, day and night fully, right? And Srivas Pandit is so surrendered. We know the pastime. Once when Lord was performing kirtan and he hears the news that his son dies, and then he tells his family members not to disturb. Just imagine, in the sense, when someone is so dear dies, then immediately one will cry and also may seek the attention of Lord. But he is so surrendered that he doesn't want the kirtan to be disturbed. He requests them not to disturb the Sankirtan. Lord was so pleased. Actually, Lord Chaitanya, when he takes sannyas, he actually says, how can I leave such a surrendered devotee like Srivas? Lord was feeling separation so much from Srivas Pandit. And also we see that he exhibited his surrendered by completely depending on Lord. We know that he doesn't work, and he just says that if I clap 3 times, and within that time, if Lord doesn't provide, I'll jump in the Ganges. So he had so much faith that Lord will provide everything, whatever is required for his maintenance of himself and his family members. Very high level of surrender. So we cannot imitate that, because they are fully surrendered and they have so much faith in the Lord, and that Lord is our maintainer. We don't have so much faith. But then we can pray to these great souls that we may also develop such kind of faith in the Supreme Lord, and always try to please the Lord through our words, actions, and behavior. So he was always participating in the Harinam Sankirtan, and Srivas Sangan was considered non-different from the Rastali. So Lord performed his kirtans with all his associates day and night. So such a surrendered soul. So we have to actually learn from these associates of Lord. Lord regularly sends his associates to teach that who is really a surrendered soul. Because if we think that we are surrendered, then we can compare with Srivas, with Dhruv Maharaj, with Prahlad Maharaj. They are actually epitome of surrender. That in all Pandavas, in such extreme situations also, they never deviated from taking shelter of Lord. And our surrender is, even in normal situations, we are not surrendered. What to speak of extreme? In extreme situations, though, we may forget only. Right? In normal situations only, we are struggling. Right? So, we should pray and seek the blessings of these great souls who are so much surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Okay? Thank you very much. Grace Anand Maipru, would you like to add something? Any corrections? Okay. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai.